All right, I want to thank everyone for joining us for, I believe this is episode 5 of the Sideman Song Swap podcast. My guest today is Mr. Paul Eason, and he will be joining me. Let's see, this is Wednesday, April 7th for a song swap at the Magnolia Motor Lounge up in Fort Worth. So join us for that if you're in the area. But without further ado, Paul, will you tell us a little bit about your how you got into music and your journey that brought you from there to here?
Sure. Let's see. When I was 12 years old, my sister got a little crappy acoustic guitar for Christmas. I guess she asked for it, but she didn't ever play it. I ended up kind of stealing it and learning, just teaching myself some songs. And from there, I eventually got an electric guitar. I got into some rock bands, some punk bands, ska bands.
Were you in some crappy rock bands in your younger days?
We were pretty good, actually. No, actually, I mean, honestly, I've watched some of those videos, and we had a horn section with our ska band. We were actually pretty good for 8th graders, I think. But anyways, I did that. I played some jazz in high school, and eventually started my own kind of country band when I was 18. And then did that for about 8 years and put out 3 albums.
I was going to say that, I mean, you must have started pretty early.
Yeah.
In the country. How old were you when you started doing your solo stuff?
My first, like I said, my first gig was when I was 18 with the country band, but I put out my first record when I was 21, which, looking back, I would not have done that. But it's still all right. I think it's still all right music for being a 21-year-old. But yeah, I started pretty young. But I didn't know what else to do. I mean, I couldn't just join some amazing band right off the bat, so I just had to do it myself. And I loved writing songs and singing. So,
man, I remember from somewhere around that time, I had started playing in the country realm and gotten to where you recognize a white van and a trailer, as in it was either a band or a lawn crew, one of the two.
Right.
But right around the corner from where my wife grew up, I remember seeing this white van and trailer all the time, and at some point, my mother-in-law asked, hey, there's another musician around the corner from here. His name's Paul, and I can't remember his name. And it was funny because I didn't know you at the time and didn't register your name when she told me, but years later, as our paths crossed, it was like, oh shit, we kind of lived right around the corner from one another years and years ago.
That's right, I remember. But, I remember that now.
I grew up on Ditmar, and she was on Tetbury.
Right.
And so you were like right in between the two. I can't remember what that street was named.
Dempsey.
But, Dempsey, there you go. So that was probably, what, your mid-20s doing a solo thing at that point?
Yeah, pretty much, Yep, I left South Austin. It was a cool place to be.
Yeah.
And now it's too expensive, and I live in New Braunfels, and it's amazing.
It's funny, we've made definitely the same kind of trek. We grew up in Austin and slowly made our way to San Marcos and here. And New Braunfels is hard to beat. Don't tell your friends.
Yeah, don't come here. It's great.
So at what point did you go from doing solo stuff to kind of the sideman situation?
Yeah, so let's see. I think I was 28, and my career was like kind of at a low point. Like I had a booking agent that stole enormous amounts of money from me, and I ended up eating ramen noodles for 6 months, while still playing gigs, but not being able to afford anything basically except for just my rent, and that was it.
Damn.
And I don't know, there's a lot of things that kind of all happened at once, and then one of my buddies told me, well, Kevin Fowler's looking for guitar players, and I was like, that sounds like a lot of fun, I could do that, and so I tried out and got that gig when I was 28, so I think that's 2011, and I did that for 8 years, playing with Fowler, so.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was a blast, it was a lot of fun.
8 years is a long time to be in a gig.
Yeah.
And I say that, I mean, to me that's a long time. I think the longest I've spent somewhere is 6 years. And I don't know, I feel like it's so common these days in this realm to kind of skip gig to gig quicker than that, but it's always a good sign when
right.
You can either enjoy the people or the gig or the money. There's some nice balance there that makes something work for that long. I remember, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said at one point, they're like, there's the music, the hang, and the money. If 2 of those things are good, then I'll keep the gig. if 3 of those things are good, then I'll hang on to it like it's my only thing.
Yeah, and they were all 3 good with Fowler. I mean, most of the guys in the band still have been around longer than I was ever there. So, you know, a lot of those guys have been in the band for 12 or 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
By now, I think. And that's just because Kevin's an amazing dude. He's a great boss, and he's a great team and great gigs, and everything about it's just a good gig. So I was crazy to leave, honestly.
Man, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and it's not always easy, but yeah, man, I can't remember the timing, but I feel like we just missed you because my first gig in the country realm was with a guy named Mark McKinney. I know you know him pretty well.
Oh yeah.
And we opened up probably 40 or 50 shows for Kevin in our first 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so got to know those guys real well. And I think it was, I don't know, I guess not too long after that you came around to that gig, but they're always a blast to hang out with and play with, and definitely a cool situation.
Oh yeah, I love Mark. I've known him for a long time too.
Oh yeah. Man, funny story of him I don't tell very often, but right out of high school, actually no, during high school, I took a gig bussing tables at Cherry Creek Catfish in South Austin. And my manager's name at the time was April McKinney. And I didn't, I'd met her husband once or twice, but Mark, and years later, it was a weird kind of worlds come together because I ended up playing drums for him, and I had been working for his wife years earlier down the road.
That's great.
And that was years and years ago, but yeah, I definitely been around him and his family for a long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, his cousin Ryan is actually a good buddy of mine. We've played in bands together, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole, but it's a very small world in music.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. So where and when did you get into songwriting?
Let's see. The first country song I ever wrote, I guess I was 17. And I have no idea how I got into it now that you asked that question. I mean, there was a girl, of course, it started with a girl.
Usually it is.
She broke my heart, and then I wrote that song. And that first song I ever wrote was actually I'm still hey, that's not, I don't hate that. It's not the worst song I've ever written even. But I guess, at the time I was figuring out that I wanted to have a band. And it's if I want to have a band, I got to have songs. And so this kind of started from there. And then, I don't know, it's really hard for me to write songs, but I love it when I get it done. I have something that I like that's I think is cool that I can go play and listen to, or record and put out in the world. So
Definitely.
I'm still trying to get better at it. Every week we're in a songwriting group right now where everybody has to write a song by every Thursday night.
Oh yeah.
And so
So
still trying to write a bunch.
Who heads up that group?
Me and Bree Bagwell.
Oh, nice.
And then my sister's in it, and then we've had a bunch of other, songwriters be in it for a while, and then as soon as you don't turn one in, you're out automatically.
Right.
Out. So some of them have come and gone.
Man, I've been in and out of a few of those, and I'm currently in one, and that's the only reason I write consistently, because without it, I have a hard time just doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like that adds the accountability and pressure just to keep it going, and I'm very thankful for that situation. By the way, quick shout out to Johnny Chops, who you know.
Oh, yes.
He's done a few of these deals with me, and I saw him post yesterday. He's taken that and kind of bringing it public a little bit, where he's got some of the writers doing the same prompt, but get them together to play what they ended up doing,
right?
And doing it on Instagram. So if you don't follow Johnny Chops, go do that. I think the first one's coming out, I don't know, very soon.
Yeah, but I think Bree's doing that maybe, and
nice.
And Chops was in one of the groups I was in for a while ago.
Nice.
So, that's cool.
Man, I highly recommend. I've said this on previous ones, but any songwriters, if you're needing a boost or something to get you inspired, start one of these groups, find one, whatever you got to do, because I've written more songs because of those groups than I've ever written without them.
Yeah.
And
totally.
you don't always write the best songs while you're part of it, but
you write the worst songs.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes they're good.
Yeah, speaking of which, as soon as we're done today, Mine is due tonight, and I still need a bridge and to learn it and be able to play it. So that is what I will do as soon as we're done here.
Nice. Wait, what made you start writing songs?
Man.
And when? If you don't mind me interviewing you for a second.
I can remember writing my first song somewhere in high school, and I don't have that song. I can't remember. I just remember it was really bad. But it was same exact kind of formula. Girl breaks your heart. What kind of outlet do you have to really get into it that is better than writing a song? So that started sometime in high school, and I didn't really pick it back up and get serious about it until I was probably, I don't know. I guess it wasn't too long after that, but there was definitely some time there where it was just bad and no goal, not reaching for anything, just kind of some form of expression. And it wasn't until somewhere out of high school, when I got in the country music realm, I think that I started writing seriously and writing with other people and, trying to hold myself to a little bit higher standard than just venting with bar chords.
Right. That's cool. I think high school is a good time to start writing songs because, like you said, it's one of the few ways you can get out your frustrations. You can't go to the bar when you're 17.
Yeah.
Go drink it up, drink it away.
Man, I did have a great outlet through high school outside of songwriting, and that was having a drum kit and a house I could play it at.
I had a drum kit too, and it was amazing.
My dad had already soundproofed our garage because he's been a musician his entire life and raised our family somehow off of just playing music, which is hard to do these days. But so I kind of lucked out into growing up in that kind of house where I could just go out to the garage at any time of day and beat the crap out of drums.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And man, as an angsty high school kid, that probably kept me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to have that right now.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't have a drum kit here at this house. I don't even have that anymore. But I've got some quiet little practice pads. They don't quite do the exact same, but help keep that sharp, or at least as sharp as I need to keep it.
Right.
So, do you still put much effort into growing as a guitar player or maintaining the chops you have? Or do you do as much as that as you do songwriting, or what's your system these days?
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like less now that I'm in the new band. I'm definitely working more on writing stuff because, obviously when I was just a guitar player, that's all I had to be good at, and so I practiced a lot of guitar, and I'd write some, but now it's more like it's on us to come up with the music. So I feel like the song is the most important part of the band, kind of. So I've been mostly trying to write good songs, and then I definitely still will practice guitar sometimes, or we were in the studio last week, and there's some pretty intense solo sections on there, so I spent some time, working up some solos and stuff. But
nice. Well, while we're on that subject, I'm a huge fan of the new band, and I know a lot of people listening might not know about it, so give us a rundown of the band that you've been a part of for the last year or so, and how that came to be, and y'all's whole deal.
Yeah, it's called The Wilder Blue. It's, the way it happened, I guess, I was playing guitar with Fowler, and then Zane Williams gave me a call just out of nowhere one day and said, I think you and me should start a band together. And I was like, that's insane. But I think I probably want to do that because Zane is just one of the best writers in the scene, I think, alive. He's just an incredible songwriter.
Definitely.
And I was like, that would be a really cool, I feel like that's a really cool opportunity, to not just play and write with Zane, but also to co-own the business, co-own the band and stuff, and be able to, really put a lot of my own input into it. So anyways, then we found, a bunch of other great players and singers. Everybody sings in the band, so
and not just sings. I feel like a lot of y'all's deal kind of rests on harmonies,
right?
And
so we're kind of we like to think of ourselves kind of as like a male version of the Dixie Chicks, so like the Dixie Dicks, if you will, or which I guess now is
Just the dicks.
It's just the dicks. Or somewhere like a cross between Eagles and like maybe the early bluegrass kind of version of the Eagles. Not that we're as good as the Eagles, but it's a lot of vocals, it's kind of bluegrass inspired, and I love it. I love the music, and it's really fun to make it. And we're even though this whole year is pretty much it was canceled, this year coming up we have all kinds of shows all over the country. And it's really exciting. So
man, well, I'm excited for y'all to get back out there. I know, as a lot of people probably don't know, but the Sideman Deal is great because it's kind of I say consistent. That's not a great word, but you're pretty much doing your job. Somebody else's responsibility is maintaining the business and whatever. So you show up and you get your set pay, whether it be a salary or by show, whatever. So when you're in something like that and you've been doing it for a while, if it's a decent situation, it's really hard to leave that, especially to make a plunge into like hey, we're starting a brand new band from ground zero.
Right.
We're going to be broke for a while. And that's a hard plunge to make. So I commend all you guys for, especially a lot of times when bands work, they started by chance in younger years.
Yeah.
And it just worked, and that's great. And they kind of grew from there. But you guys have all done, not only a lot of you your own solo situation, but been all over the music business. So you kind of start back from ground zero. I know it's kind of scary, and then COVID happened. So
right,
you guys kind of,
if you're gonna make that big of a change, don't do it during a pandemic or right before a pandemic. That's my recommendation.
I was gonna say that was not not that you could have foreseen that, but the timing there was rough. But I feel like y'all kind of worked well around it and kept things going, and
yeah,
definitely have a good amount of people behind what you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah, me too. It's been all right. Like for some reason, in November we had a lot of shows, and then it all shut back down again. But now it's coming back. But we've been in the studio the whole year, so every month or two we'll go to the studio and keep working. So we have, a lot of a second album already done, basically. So,
nice.
Our plan is to basically always kind of be in the studio and release a song a month to our Hideout members, which are kind of like our. It's not a fan club. It's like a kind of a Patreon, our own Patreon, basically.
I was going to ask you to talk about that a little bit.
I just went right into it because I'm promoting. Self-promotion.
That's what we're here to do.
So basically, you can become a member of the Hideout, and you just pay $5 a month or whatever you want to, and all that money goes straight to our recording budget, and which is usually the biggest expense that a band has. Is like we got to make a record that's going to be $40 or $50 or $100,000, whatever you want to spend on it. But
I don't think people realize what it costs to make a record.
Yeah,
these days, or any days really.
Right.
But,
so the amazing thing is that now that's pretty much covered, and then those people who are paying the $5 a month get all the music like before it ever comes out. So or just the stuff that we write in the songwriting group or whatever they get to hear anything they want to hear. So we've been recording, and our plan is to have an album out pretty much every year, I guess. End of the year we have a full album, and so we'll see how it goes.
So kind of averaging a song a month.
Yeah.
Recording wise.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool system, and the whole y'all's website is awesome. I know Sean.
Oh yeah.
Probably did a lot of that.
Sean Reader, yep.
But the whole system, when he first described it to me, he's like, it's kind of like iTunes and social media and Patreon and all these things wrapped into one. And it's kind of a beautiful idea. I hope he's able to kind of package that and sell it to other people. I know he had been talking about that. But when you think about it, every dollar is going to the band. There's no record label. There's no, all the other things that go into all of those systems. Everyone's taking their little piece of everything. In this system, it's all going to the band, which allows them to get in the studio and record on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, kind of get things going, which is pretty cool.
It's amazing. It really is amazing because, I've done my own albums before, and it's like, it's a giant hurdle just to get the money together or, whatever you got to do. So just to be able to just book studio time and know that we can pay for it is pretty cool.
Definitely. That is awesome. So what's next big thing coming from the Wilder Blue? Is it kind of a record at the end of the year?
Yeah, but let's see. We just put out a new... or we're just about to put out a new single to Spotify. We already had one kind of beginning this year, So we'll have a new single. I think we'll probably also have, this summer, we'll have like a new Spotify single and a radio single, kind of all in one thing.
Nice.
And then at the end of the year, it'll be an album. Well, we're going to package all the stuff we've been putting out over the year and just call that an album, basically, I think.
Awesome.
Which is real strange these days because, you know, what is an album anymore, and does anyone even make those, or does anybody listen to the whole album, or...
Man,
you know, it's real weird. We don't know exactly what to do, but...
I feel like people could argue a bunch of different ways on that, but it seems like the bite-sized chunks, doing a song or two at a time and, you know, slowly doing that, definitely seems like kind of the way people prefer it these days, or at least the way that's working. But at the same time, putting those into a collection at the end gives you a bit of that old school realm where it's like, I want to buy a collection, you know, an art, a whole chunk like that.
Yeah, that's why we like the idea of at the end of the year we put it out and it's an album. It's like, that's kind of just a snapshot of us this year, basically.
Right.
Those are the songs we were playing and recording. So,
random question: did y'all do vinyl for that first one?
Yeah, we are just about to get it in.
Oh, really?
Almost a year after the album.
I'm gonna have to come grab one of those.
Yeah, definitely. I know a guy.
Man, so do you have songs that you wrote beforehand that the new band is doing, or is it all stuff? I feel like
in the live show we play a couple of my old songs, but anything we record since we started is pretty much new stuff written for this band.
Gotcha.
So on the first album, I think I sing just one song. It's one that me and Zane wrote together. And on the next album, we recorded one so far that I wrote, and I'm hoping to get one more in there. But the thing is, to get my song on the album, I have to write a better song than Zane's song. So it's real difficult.
Man.
And we'll see if I can do another one.
Man, I got the privilege of playing drums for Zane for 3.5 years, and he's definitely one of my favorite songwriters.
Yeah.
Definitely favorite songwriter that I've ever known personally. He would show up to sound checks and just play a song. We're like, man, whose song is that? Where'd that come from? He's like, oh, I wrote it on the ride over. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Yep. He'll like once a week he'll send us a new song. It's like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. How'd you do that every week? It's insane.
I can imagine as a songwriter, it's, you know, they always say, you know, like, try and play outside of your league if you want to grow and improve. Like, put yourself up against people that are more talented than you. So being in that ring of like, if I want a song on the record, I have to outperform.
Yeah. Zane.
It's a pretty good.
Yeah. That's why you may not hear much from me. But, yeah, I'm trying.
Man, we all are doing great. The stuff is awesome, and I definitely encourage anyone who hasn't checked out the Wilder Blue yet, go do it. Man, well, we're kind of heading up to, I always consider DFW y'all's realm. I think that kind of carries over from Zane, but
yeah,
we're heading up to Magnolia Motor Lounge. We'll be there Wednesday, April 7th. Paul and I are going to trade some songs, some of our original material, but also tell some stories and play guys from songs from our time on the road as Sidemen, backing up other artists. Like we mentioned, Kevin Fowler, and the time I got to play for Zane. We got to see some pretty crazy things in those times, so bring some of that to you guys. So where can they find all the Wilder Blue stuff?
It's all at our website, thewilderblue.com. And then, of course, it's on every streaming everything, I think. But yeah, you know, our website's got all our show dates and stuff, and we have a lot of those coming up, so hopefully we'll see some people out there.
Nice. I know all musicians are excited about where things are going right now with this pandemic wrapping up and finally getting to get out and play shows again. I feel like we've all, felt like we had our legs pulled out from under us over this last year and been able to not get out there and do what we love to do. So definitely excited to be doing that. And yeah, we'll start by hopefully seeing you guys at Magnolia Motor Lounge on Wednesday. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Thank you.